Okay, let's start out by introducing yourself and ladies first.
Thank you. I'm Alshan O'Malley.
And I'm Blake Boyevsky.
Why don't you tell who your character is and give me a little information about your character and how they relate to the show.
My character is Mary Warren, and she is the servant of John Proctor, and she's kind of bullied by the mean girls in the play, and she's very loyal to both her bullies, I guess, her friends. Well, they say they're her friends, and John Proctor, and she's caught between the two when she has to decide whether or not to turn on her friends or turn on John Proctor in the court.
So she's got a big choice to make.
Yes, she does.
And I'm Reverend Hale. He's in the context of the story, he's an outsider to the Salem village where the whole story takes place. But he comes in and kind of investigates if there's witchcraft being done in Salem, because that's what the story surrounds, is the Salem witch trials back in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1692. And so he comes in and tries to investigate if there's witchcraft there, if there's not, but starts to kind of perpetuate this feeling that witchcraft is afoot and that this is a big deal, and it kind of, from his raindrop, effect, just kind of it steamrolls into this huge thing, because everyone kind of grabs onto it, because everyone was already looking for that thing to jump onto. And so throughout the process of the play, he kind of realizes what he's done and just how big and uncontrollable this all gets.
Okay. And this is written about Arthur Miller. Have either one of you ever been in an Arthur Miller production before, or this show particular, or?
No, actually.
No?
This is my first Arthur Miller. Yeah.
So going into the show, you both obviously probably heard about it, and any what were your thoughts about going into it and doing this show particularly? Is there some excitement of doing it, some nervousness about putting it on, or?
Definitely excitement. We just came from doing 4 musicals that are very happy. Well, Trude isn't. Well, yeah, Trude's happy. And it's kind of we kind of have to drop into ourselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think, at least personally, I did, and have to check in with myself before starting this rehearsal process, because it's very emotionally taxing, which it also is a little nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely exciting on my end too. I was floored to be able to be in this production, because it's often considered one of the best plays of all time, and so it's just amazing. I read it in high school and watched the movie as well. I mean, as I think a lot of us did, and now to finally actually step into these characters that are so well written and so in depth and thought about. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful to have that kind of experience now.
And a lot of, this show is kind of an allegory to the McCarthyism of the 1950s. Obviously it doesn't mention that, but can you see where, do you feel where, he's talking about that, or the politics of the time, or the politics behind this play in general?
I think what is interesting about this play is that it's not about the witches, and it's not about witchcraft. It's more about the refusal of the judges to accept the fact that these women and men weren't witches and wizards. And I think that relates to McCarthyism.
Yeah, I mean, while there is definitely a perceptible notion that this play was written as an allegory to Arthur Miller's experiences in the Red Scare and everything. But I think the wonderful thing knowing that going into the play, it's been really interesting seeing that even though that was the base subject matter or connection to this piece, throughout the years since it's been written, it's stood the test of time and always been very prudent to what's going on in present day society.
So relevant.
And yeah, very relevant.
Well, how could you relate this to modern? Kind of put you on the spot. How could you relate to anything going on in modern times? I mean, obviously, there's people accusing others of doing stuff they didn't, and there's people lying. But I mean, what's the modern, I guess, connection?
Well, I think that there's many things that people align themselves to, whether that's religiously or politically, on any front, really. I think just the notion of somebody being sensational about a certain aspect, has always been something that is happening in society. You know what I mean? You can apply it to very much anytime, anywhere. There will always be people that really try to take it to the furthest extent of sensationalism, and people piggyback onto that, and all these different movements, but I mean, you can connect it present day to the political climate, especially with how divided things are in America today. There's many different ways in which this play can speak to people. Yeah.
And back in when this play was set, America was vastly different. I mean, religiously and politically and socially, and kind of an off-the-wall kind of question. But if you guys had to live back during those times, kind of based on this play, would you be able to, or how would you deal with this? Put yourself, I guess, in those shoes of these characters.
Well, I suppose if I had never known anything else, I would have to. But I mean, there was no separation of church and state, really, which, and I mean, I can't imagine that now. I can't. But I mean, I guess we have to, because it's our job as actors to put ourselves in that place. But yeah,
yeah. Well, talking to one of our co-directors, Andy, a conversation we had was how the characters in the play reflect the different ways in which people during that time reacted to the situation. And so you have a character like John Proctor, who very much Arthur Miller made mirror his own opinions, his own stance during Arthur Miller's experience in the Red Scare. And that is, I am an honest man. I'm not going to give up my name. I'm not going to give up other people's names just to continue living, then you have a character like Reverend Hale, who ends up just having the thought, confess to witchcraft so that you can continue living and you won't get, hanged for witchcraft. It doesn't matter if it's a lie. But you're going to live. You know what I mean? So there's two different, and really, I think I would probably be on the side of Reverend Hale's, ideology toward that, because it's just such a crazy situation in general,
Yeah. And women in this, and particularly in this time period, had a different kind of. I mean, they were expected to almost be, I don't know, subservient. Is that yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess, how do you see the women, in particular in this show?
I see that Elizabeth talks about how Elizabeth is accused of witchcraft, and she talks about how she can't imagine that the devil could possibly own a good woman's soul. And I think that there are some very strong female characters in the show. I think that Mary Warren tries to be a strong woman. I think that she knows what it means to be. But I think that her past kind of works against her, and it's very hard for her. But I think Elizabeth is the epitome of a strong woman, or as strong as she could be in that time. There are limitations. A strong woman back then is not what we would consider a strong woman today. But I think that she and Abigail is also, a different kind of strength, I suppose, right?
And Abigail is the one who gets the ball rolling and accusing everyone.
Accusing people.
Yeah. Okay.
So she definitely stands her ground, and you see everyone cower in her presence.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely not, maybe not the best kind of strength. But again, strong female characters throughout, in my opinion.
But she uses her strength for evil purposes, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it all depends what you do with your strength and.
Yeah. How you channel that.
Okay. Now, Ben Dickey and Andy Robinson are co-directing. What's it like to work and be under their, guidance? So they were acting in Young Frankenstein. Are they doing this show a little differently, or are they giving it a different spin, or are they fun, or how's it going?
I absolutely love both of them so much, and it's been such an interesting and rewarding experience being able to. Because the director or the directors of a production are such a huge benchmark of really laying out the whole tone of a piece, or not just of a production, but of that process of that production. And being able to perform with them in Frankenstein before we moved into the Crucible, and also at the same time, because we're doing Frankenstein at night, Crucible during rehearsals during the day. It's absolutely a wonderful experience to see them, to witness them in a directorial position, and then also in a performance position too. And just, they're both iconic people. I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think us as a cast, we have a lot of respect for them. When they are our colleague and when they are our director, which is really cool. And I think they work really well with Scott and really well together. And it's even though it's a sad play, it's a blast in the rehearsal room, and they take so much time with each of us individually, which is so wonderful and makes the rehearsal room a very healthy and fun place to be.
Now, what specifically tips did they give you about your characters? Did they tell you, like, play it this way, don't play it this way, or specifically about your characters? Or
well, there will always be, I guess the base of the character, of how the character is written, and then on top of that, what the director kind of, their spin on the character is. I think both of Andy and Ben have done a fantastic job of letting us have, work our characters to a genuine point of our being, like what I bring to the character, what Alshin brings to her character. And then, and what Ben and Andy do is they see what we bring to the table, and they evaluate that and see, okay, how do I spin that toward, being true to yourself, but also the character being true to the text. It's a cooperative process, really, when it comes to carving out these characters with both of them.
And, well, I mean, there was a movie version with Winona Ryder and stuff.
Yes.
I'll touch on this briefly. Are there a lot of changes on the play from the movie, obviously, or is it, if someone's only access to this show before it was the movie, would they expect kind of the same storyline, the same?
Yeah, they show some things in the movie that they don't in the play, but I would say that it's basically the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot that is shown in the movie is implied or done, happens off stage in the play, so that the key, pinnacle moments are all that you're seeing within the stage play. So I definitely, it's different in the sense where, you'll have a lot less of a view of like every different angle of everything happening, but you don't need it, because everything that is truly important in the story is encompassed within the stage play.
Yeah. Okay. And then anything else about this show in particular you'd want audiences to know before they come to it, or should be prepared for, or?
Well, I think, honestly, if they haven't seen the play yet, come in with just a blank slate and an open mind. Honestly, coming in without any prior thought as to what it's going to be or what it's, I mean, we do have a young company and we're playing older characters, but the point is that, just from observing, being in the process and the rehearsals and everything, the ages don't even matter, because it's the emotion that's driven behind it that makes you really, care about the story. So I think, if anything, that would be the only thing, is just to connect to the emotion of the play, because it'll be so easy too once you sit in your seat and you watch it.
It's kind of like a roller coaster ride. There are a lot of twists and turns, and there'll be moments where your stomach will just drop, and you'll laugh. There are funny moments too.
There are.
It's
Okay. But I'm sure at the end of the day, after rehearsing all this and heavy emotion and stuff, you guys are probably tired and have to clear your heads.
Yeah. It's
a good kind of tired, though.
It's a rewarding type of exercise of the mind.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, and then my last question is, how much longer are you guys both here at this season, and what are you doing after the summer season's over?
Well, I think we're both here till Into the Woods.
Mm-hmm. Through Into the Woods too, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm playing Little Red in Into the Woods.
I'm playing Jack.
Okay.
And I'm going back to Penn State to complete my senior year.
And I'm going back to University of Michigan to complete my junior year.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.